Hello everyone and welcome to Power Rangers Stories. Here I bring you the untold and what could have been stories. So sit back, relax and get ready to listen to some more phenomenal adventures. Also don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell to get notifications on the latest videos. And may the power protect you. Ninja Storm, the Pink Ninja Ranger. Chapter 4, Thunder Strangers, Part 1. Sitting in her brother's living room in Reefside, Zoey eyed Tommy critically. "Will you quit staring at me?" "I'm fine," he said, without even looking at her. "I can't help it. I just want to make sure you're okay." Can't a sister show concern for her brother? I mean, come on Tommy. You were in an explosion. And you didn't have any of your morphers with you. You almost died. You were missing for over a week. I don't know how you survived," Zoey said, frustrated. Tommy finally paused the movie that they were no longer watching and looked over at his sister. "I get that you were worried. And I'm sorry that you had to be. But it was no different than running off to fight in Zords almost every day. And now, I'm in the same position. I get to watch you fight every day, worried that you won't come back. Always wondering if that's it. If that is your last fight. And I won't ever see you again. But I have faith in the power. Always have. And I want you to know that I have always had faith in you. So, no matter how worried I am, I have faith that I will always receive my nightly check-in call from you." He put his arms around his crying sister and continued, "I love you. And I love that you worry about me. So, how about this? We continue to worry about each other. And we make sure that we call each other every day. No matter what. And if one of us doesn't hear from the other in 24 hours, then we know something is wrong. That's when the worry can turn into panic. And we call in backup. And we both know who that is." Zoey quickly replied, "Jason." "Duh. Are you kidding? Haley." "No question. She'd killed both of us if she wasn't called first. We can call Jason after." Laughing, Zoey nodded. "She does kind of scare me. A little." He laughed. "We have a deal." "Pinky promise." He agreed. "Now, let's finish this movie so I can get back to Blue Bay. I have training and work tomorrow. So I've got to get up early. Gimme the popcorn." "You want it?" "Here." He threw a handful at her. "Oh, really? You want to start that? Let's go." Laughing, the movie went ignored as they started a massive popcorn fight. Walking into Ninja Ops after her run, Zoey stopped when she saw Shane and Dustin gathered around Cam's laptop. "Unbelievable." Shane's groaned, making her cock her head in confusion. "Dude, that is so sick, it's just wrong," Dustin summed up as the pair stared at the screen. She raised an eyebrow and walked over to her gym bag. "Check out the lines on that baby," Shane leaned closer to the screen. "The way they move, dude, I can't believe it," he moaned, dropping his head to the table. "You better not be doing anything illegal," Cam warned angrily as he stormed in, looking annoyed. Dustin and Shane quickly turned the laptop away from him, babbling as they attempted to come up with an excuse. "Let me see," Cam snatched the computer away from the pair and turned it around to look, before frowning. "The tsunami cycles," he looked up at them, and the two bursts out laughing. "Shouldn't you be doing schoolwork or annoying your parents or something?" Cam rolled his eyes, cutting off their laughter. "Well, I mean, you know, it was already switched onto this channel, so we thought we'd just go for it." "Computers don't have channels, Dustin," he frowned at the Earth Ninja. "And I would appreciate it if you didn't cruise in here without asking me first." Cam started typing as Shane rolled his eyes. "What's the big deal?" "We didn't hurt it," Shane grumbled in irritation. "It's just taken me 2 weeks to make the changes to the onboard telemetry systems," Cam sighed. I just don't want anything to dash. Cam stopped abruptly as the computer began to beep. His disgruntled expression disappeared and was replaced by horror. Please say this is a dream. He breathed as the screen blacked out and the picture of the tsunami cycle was replaced by 5XS. I don't believe this, he yelled. What happened? Zoey walked over with her bag over her shoulder. You're sweating, like really, really bad, man, Dustin commented. You okay? He asked as Cam typed furiously. It's frozen. Cam yelled and jumped to his feet. The systems locked up. He ran over to the main computer, and the three followed him. It's totally dead, he complained. But you backed it up though, so it should be okay, right? I mean, I was there when you did it. I saw the disk. Zoey remembered. Of course, I did, I must have. Cam breathed, before his eyes lit up. Dustin, you have the backup. Cam spun around in his chair as they all looked to Cam. I gave it to you on that disc. He reminded him, and Dustin stared at him blankly for a moment before he remembered. Oh. Yeah, right, it's in my back dash. Dustin froze as he went to grab his backpack off his back, only to find it wasn't there. It's in my backpack. He breathed. He ran out of Ninja Ops in a panic. This is not good. Zoey leaned on the desk. If that disc falls into the wrong hands, it could be disastrous. It's a good thing I made a second backup. She grabbed her laptop bag, missing the looks the other two sent her, and pulled out the disc. Here you go. At least you'll get your system back up. Let's just hope that Dustin finds that disc. Cam sighed. Thanks, Zoey. He replied as they looked worried. I'd really like to know when you did that, though. He muttered. As they waited for Dustin, Shane and Zoey decided to skate for a while Tori watched him. The Pink Ranger moved past Shane, shooting up the ramp and flipping through the air before coming back down. You're pretty good, Shane, Zoey commented as he rolled over to them. How are you not sponsored yet? He smirked. And Zoey and Tori laughed. You're pretty good yourself. Why aren't you? It's not the only thing I'm good at, and I have other things that I'm more passionate about. They kinda take precedent. They looked around as Dustin ran up to them. Any luck? Shane asked. No, man, Dustin shook his head, frustrated and worried. Well, Tori spoke. Where else have you been? She asked. Have you tried the track? Zoey asked. Dustin ran his hands through his hair, before his eyes widened. The track. The track, he realized, and as he went to run off, their morphers beeped. The air ninja looked around before opening the communication lines with Cam. Go for Shane. We're getting a strange heat signature reading at the Quarry, Cam spoke, a trace of worry in his voice. The Quarry? Seriously? Can't these guys be more original? Zoey just shook her head. Kelzax? Shane frowned, looking over at Zoey. No, I don't know what it is. Cam replied. Better Ranger up, just to be safe, he told them. Not going to be a problem, Shane told him confidently, and looked to the others as they looked about, making sure nobody was around. Ready? Ready. Ninja Storm. Firestorm. Ranger form. Ha! Power of Earth. Air. Water. Fire. They morphed and ninja streaked towards the Quarry. What's going on? Shane wondered as they looked around for any sign of a problem. Not a whole lot, Tori shook her head. Nothing here, Dustin added, and Shane lifted his morpher to his mouth to open communications. I've got a bad feeling about this. Zoey said, looking concerned. Cam, the Red Ranger, started. This place is like downtown Deadsville, he reported as they all continued to look around, a little confused. Zoey stopped, not liking the feeling of this. I'm getting a heat reading from the Air Force satellite, Cam replied, sounding just as confused. It's usually right on, he commented. Air Force satellite? Zoey just shook her head. I'm not even going to comment on that.
Goodbye,
Rangers. A voice called out, and they spun around before a blast of energy slammed into them and threw them to the ground. Note to self, never, ever, doubt Cam. Shane groaned, pushing himself back up. The smoke of the explosion cleared to reveal their attackers, 2 new Rangers in crimson and navy suits, with their backs to them. Who are you? Shane demanded. What's with the attitude? Tori growled. Hello? Anyone home? Shane called to them as the pair didn't respond. Obviously you didn't get the memo, the Crimson Ranger spoke as he turned to face them. Old Rangers out, new Rangers in, the Navy Ranger added as he turned as well. What? You expect us to fight you? Dustin asked, confused. Instead of answering, however, the pair shot at them, ninja streaking past several times and striking them with their weapons, flooring them. Doesn't seem like they want to talk, Shane groaned as he sat up. I vote for kicking their wannabe butts. Tori nodded. I hear ya. Dustin nodded as he jumped up as well. Those symbols. I've seen them before. Zoey mused as she looked at the pair. Didn't anyone ever teach you to play nice? Shane demanded. He then jumped in the air as he drew his sword. We don't do nice, the two replied, and the Navy Ranger leapt up, kicking him out of the air. He slammed Shane into the side of the cliff, landing neatly as Shane hit the ground hard. That was brutal. The others ran at the Crimson Ranger, attacking him, but he was much stronger, blocking their attacks before knocking Dustin off his feet. Dustin! Tori cried as she was thrown back. The Crimson Ranger went to attack the fallen Ranger with a strange staff, and was surprised when Zoey blocked it, knocking him back with her glaive. She faced off against him as she stood over Dustin, protecting him. Zoey? Dustin stared up at her in shock. You're not bad, little girl, the Crimson Ranger commented as he pushed against her, forcing her to lean backwards. But it's going to take more than that to stop us. Little girl? Listen here, Bughead, she pushed him back far enough to kick him. He grunted but didn't have time to do anything but defend as she continued her assault. I'm a graduated fire ninja. It's gonna take more than a couple roaches to take me out. She lashed out with her glaive and knocked them both to the ground. They stood up, angry, and pulled out their weapons. Thunder Staff, Mega Power. The Navy Ranger ran up and slashed at them, making them fall to the ground. They have sticks. Shane yelled, which didn't make them sound very threatening. Really big sticks, Tori nodded. Anybody got a suggestion? Dustin groaned as the two walked towards them. You want an idea? How about give up, the Crimson Ranger told them with a smirk. Trust us, it will be much less painful that way, the Navy one added. Oh, I get it, this is a training thing, isn't it? Shane asked as he got to his feet. Cam, you got us, Tori smiled nervously. I think this is for real, Dustin shook his head. Seriously, guys? Zoey just shook her head. All right, ready, the Crimson one asked the shorter Ranger.
Yeah,
the Navy Ranger replied, and the two lifted a hand each. Colored energy in their hands, before they suddenly streaked off. Where'd they go? Shane demanded as he looked around. Really far away, if we're lucky. Dustin gulped as they stood together.
Yeah,
right. Evil Rangers never give up, Zoey commented as looked over at Dustin. Back at Ninja Ops, the 3 Wind Rangers bombarded their teacher with questions about the 2 new Rangers. Eventually, he grew tired of not being able to understand a word they was saying, and whistled loudly, effectively shutting them up. One at a time, he spoke in an irritated voice. Sensei, who were those guys? Shane spoke first before the other 2 could. Thunder Ninjas. Zoey said, sitting on a table. Everyone turned to look at her. What? What part of graduated at the top of my class did you not get? And I'm not talking about high school. I was valedictorian, but that's beside the point. She is right. They were fighting in the style of the Thunder Ninja Academy, Sensei explained. That is all I know for certain, he told them, and the three looked over at Zoey. Told you, she shrugged. It helps that I've also been to their academy. Twice she explained, as this seemed to invite more questions than answers. I thought Lothar captured all the other ninja schools. Dustin frowned, and all of them glanced at Zoey again, the sole survivor of when her own school had been taken. You didn't actually think that the Wind Academy was the only one, did you? She asked, curious. I mean, I can count 5, minimum. Tori turned away from her, eyes wide at the new information. Could he have turned them against us? She asked curiously. To fight fire with fire? Sensei shook his head. Their fire is from deep within. Even Lothar cannot be driving them to attack with such passion, the teacher told them, not knowing the correct answer. The thing with bad rangers is that, technically, they're not bad. Every evil ranger in history has had a reason for being evil. Whether it's from an evil spell, being brainwashed, or having received all the wrong information. Either way, we can't destroy them. They're human. Which means, we have to figure out how to snap them out of it. Zoey explained, giving a slight history lesson. You know what? I don't really care what their problem is. Dustin shook his head. All I know is, those dudes almost smoked us, he pointed out.
Yeah,
but they didn't. Shane reminded them. And I want to know why. Maybe, smoking us isn't what they want. Zoey spoke as she leaned against the chair while Cam got up. Shane frowned. What could they possibly want, if not to destroy us for Lothar, he asked, and Zoey shrugged. I don't know. Yet. But, if I've learned anything, it's that everything happens for a reason. If us destroyed isn't what they want, then we must figure out what it is. Before it's too late. Zoey shrugged her shoulders before turning to the computer. As the Rangers pondered the problem that was the Thunder Ninjas, the computer began to beep again, alerting them to another foreign being. The Quarry again? Cam rolled his eyes as he looked up at the screen. What? Is it like a monster con over there? He wondered out loud. They do love their quarries. Zoey just smiled as Cam looked over at her. Zergain, Shane groaned as the screen closed in on the alien general. Still as ugly as ever, he muttered. How can you tell? He doesn't have a face, Zoey commented as she stood beside him. Doesn't he usually come equipped with an evil alien sidekick? Tori frowned as she watched him wandering around alone. It could be a trap, Sensei told them as they nodded. Use caution when engaging him, he warned them. We always do, Shane nodded.
yeah,
Right, Cam rolled his eyes as they went to walk off. Ready? Shane called as he rolled his eyes. Ready. Ninja storm. Fire storm. Ranger form.
ha,
Power of earth. Air. Water. Fire. They morphed and ninja streaked back to the quarry, landing in front of Zergain. What? Shane asked. Lothar run out of good-looking monsters? If you want something done right, then you do it yourself. Zergain answered as he pulled out his swords. Rangers, meet your destiny. Ninja swords, the Wind Rangers exclaimed as they got ready to fight. Fireglaive, Zoey pulled out her own weapon and stood with the others. The four of them went in for the attack, but the faceless general ended up sending them to the ground. Okay, good idea, bad result, Dustin told them. I'm getting sick of Power Rangers, Zergain growled in anger. Rangers, Rangers, Rangers. That's all I ever hear. This will teach you to disrespect me, he said, before sending them to the ground again. Now to finish what those imbeciles could only start. Before he could do anything more, a beam of light shot down, making him disappear. Catch you later, big guy. Shane taunted. That was weird, Dustin stated, confused. What do they want from us? Tori asked, shaking her head. Something really bad is fixing to happen. Zoey stood on high alert. I don't like it. Thunder hit the ground, sending shocks over everyone. They looked over to see the Thunder Rangers walking toward them. Oh, great. The Thunderbugs are back. Zoey looked over excited. Round 2. Shane looked at her. There's something seriously wrong with you. Zoey laughed as she got ready for another fight. Recognize these? The Crimson Thunder Ranger asked as 2 bikes appeared in front of them, one in navy and one in crimson. No. Dude. No way. Yes, way, taunted the Navy Ranger. But ours come with a few improvements, the Crimson Ranger continued as they got on the bikes. Ready to ride? I've been ready. Okay. Let's show these posers how it's done. They sped forward, shooting lasers at the others, sending them to the ground. I can't believe they stole Cam's disc. Dustin yelled in disbelief.
Yeah,
Tori agreed, but how? This is so easy, it's almost boring, the Crimson Ranger complained as they dismounted and walked towards them. I thought they'd at least put up a fight, the Navy Ranger sighed, shaking his head. Those guys never could compete with the Thunder Ninja Academy, the one in crimson mocked. They're so lame, he stopped a little way from them. No doubt, the Navy Ranger agreed as he walked towards the other Ranger. I thought their sensei taught them better than this, he smirked, before Zoey jumped up and landed in front of her teammates. Glaive pointed toward them. How about you try the Fire Ninja Academy on for size? Just me, she challenged. Zoey, don't. Tori called up to her, but Zoey didn't respond. Just one little fire ninja, against the 2 of us, the Navy one just laughed. Keep calling me little, and I'll send you back to Lothor in pieces. And 2-on-1 odds have never stopped me before. Trust me, I don't go down easy. Try me. Zoey called back with a look of determination, swirling her glaive around, ready. You know, I've heard that fire ninjas can be pretty persistent, the Crimson Ranger commented as he looked over at his partner. I wonder how persistent she'll be once we get done with her, he glanced back to Zoey, who fell into a fighting position, her glaive positioned behind her. How about you put your little sticks where your big mouths are? Zoey called, and the 2 laughed before ninja streaking towards her. To the amazement of the other Rangers, she kept up with their speed, blocking with her glaive before slashing at the Navy Ranger. With a growl, the Crimson swung his staff at her. She caught it before it could land a blow, and threw the Crimson Ranger to the ground. Enough. Time to finish this, the Crimson Ranger decided, getting up. They held out their morphers, which resembled insects, and reached up. Sky of Wonder. Power of Thunder, the Navy Ranger finished. Lightning flashed and thunder boomed, and they were surrounded in smoke as the lightning hit the ground around them. That does not look good, Tori groaned as they got back to their feet. Crimson Insectizord. Navy Beetle Zord. 2 Zords burst into view. You've got to be kidding me, Tori spoke, standing next to Zoey, who just stared. Knew that one was coming, she thought in resignation. They have Zords. Dustin groaned in disbelief. This is getting ridiculous. Shane growled. Later days, the Thunder Ninjas leapt up into their Zords. By the time this is over, we'll be the last Ninja Rangers on the planet. So, let's stay focused, the 2 Zords sped towards them. They want to play rough? Shane growled. We're all about rough. Cam hit it, he contacted the genius, who sent them their Zords. Let's show these imposters who's who, in the Zord Zoo, Shane encouraged the others as the battle between the Zords started. Shane seemed to gain the upper hand at first, but the Insectizord suddenly burst out of a rock and blasted him, nearly knocking the Hawk Zord out of the sky. The Beetle Zord caught Dustin, who cried out as he was trapped. Dustin managed to blast the Navy Ranger's Zord off him, but the Beetle Zord disappeared before grabbing Tori's Dolphin Zord. Zoe's fox leaped onto the Beetlezord's back and used its tail as a whip. She whipped at both swords long enough for the others to get away. The Wind Rangers quickly formed the Megazord, and Zoe's shifted into warrior mode. However, the Thunder Rangers formed their own Megazord, and the three began to fight. And just like before, the Thunder Megazord overwhelmed them. Zoey hadn't received any upgrades yet, and she couldn't keep up with the Thunders as well as she wanted. They called on their Serpent Sword, but it didn't even seem to phase the Megazord when it struck it. They summoned a Power Sphere, and judging from the yells from her teammates, Zoey assumed that it was stolen from them. With a couple of quick slices, the Thunder Megazord defeated the Megazord and the Warrior Fox, as they crashed to the ground. Now time to do a little touchdown dance on their head, Crimson told his partner. We've knocked out their Zords. That's enough. Navy stated, for now. Come in, Shane. Cam called, Tori. Dustin. Zoey. To be continued. That's it for Chapter 4, Part 1 of Ninja Storm, the Pink Ninja Ranger. I'll be having a lot more of this series out soon, continuing the Pink Ranger story. Remember, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. As always, may the power protect you, and see you for the next adventure.